The following is a reading of a letter from a serial killer. The reading may provide you a glimpse into their mind and may contain disturbing material. The material has not been altered for historical accuracy. The content of the letter does not express the personal views of the reader or Artem Mortis. Dear Veronica, I'm painting a full nude female on my cell wall. This will be the finest nude I've ever painted that has all her parts. No blood, no knives. I must be taking a turn for the better. However, right now I'm waiting for a large portion of her nipple and tit to dry, so I thought I would see if you want to enter the world of blood and gore. My first murder, July 13th, 1972. Victim, Miss Betty Jo Richards, 20 years old. First, I must give you the setup. In 1972, I was married to my high school sweetheart, Ginger. I was in college and very unfaithful. While in school, I had a full-blown affair with my psych instructor. Her name was Gay. I have always been a car freak, so for my birthday, my wife Ginger bought me an old Porsche Speedster. However, the Speedster had never had windshield wipers that were good enough for southern rains. One night, Gay and I went for a ride in the Speedster. It rained and we ended up in a ditch. The next morning, Gay took me to get a new car and bought me a 1972 fully dressed Pinto. I told Ginger that I bought the Pinto so I can rebuild the Sportster. One Sunday morning, Gay wanted to go on a picnic, so I washed the Pinto and headed out for Gay's apartment while bringing Ginger to church. While driving, I passed a Miss Betty Jo Richards walking down the road. As I passed Betty Jo, I couldn't believe how sexy she was. I went down the road a block or so, got out, and waited for Betty Jo with my 11-inch knife tucked away in my arms. As Betty Jo passed, I reached and put my right arm around her waist, placing the knife just below her right tit. After I grabbed her and she failed to resist, I noticed an abandoned house across the street. So we walked like lovers to the empty house. She kept telling me I didn't need to pick up women this way. My answer to her was, let me have the way I want it, and she will live to see tomorrow. I kicked open the front door of our honeymoon cottage. As soon as we entered, I told her to drop her dress. I reached over and sucked her excited nipples through her soft nylon bra. Soon, her bra and pantyhose lay on the dirty floor. As she stood there in her blue bikini panties, I punched her in her soft stomach and she doubled over. As she doubled over, I hit her in the middle of her back, sending her crashing to the floor. Before she can collect her wits, I had her spread eagle, pulling her panties off. It wasn't long before my hard dick was pumping her fat pussy full of creamy cum. As a last drop of my love juice entered her, I took my hands and rubbed her naked body from her hips to her neck. The third time, as I got near her neck, I grabbed her throat and squeezed. I felt the small bones of her throat crush. Soon her eyes became bloodshot, her tongue became swollen and lifelessly hung out of her mouth. Still holding her throat and squeezing hard enough that my fingernails dug deeply in, I lifted her head and beat it against the floor. My next act was to spread her legs, exposing her wet pussy that was open like a spring rose. As she lay there, I took my knife and plunged it deep into her chest. I stabbed her in her heart 3 times. Then I took the knife, sharp side up, and pushed it inside her pussy. With a strong yank, I opened up her pussy to her belly button. Not yet satisfied, I slashed open her neck and ended up keeping her head only connected by the smallest flap of skin. In the frenzy, I now hacked her nipples off her tits. I ripped open her sexy thighs to the bone. I flipped her body over, It began to take hunks of flesh from around her soft ass. Finally, when there was nothing left to mutilate, I took her panties and bra and left the rest of her for the rats and roaches. I cleaned up, put on a smile, and head my way to the picnic to meet with Gay. Sometime in the late afternoon, Gay and I sucked and fucked our way to sexual pleasure. Later that night, I boned Ginger until I fell asleep in a deep dream. Ginger had always known that I was a sexual freak, and Ginger's sexual feelings are closely unrelated to mine. Since high school, she and I have been in a black magic cult, so it wasn't very difficult to introduce Ginger into violence by sexual acts. And this leads to my murder number 2, the murder of Gay Allington, my psych instructor. But before I get to number 2, I want to know your feelings. Should I tell you about number 2 and so forth?